know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. I know I'm crazy. Naja.
Hello everybody, and I know I'm crazy land. Now this is a special episode. I know I say all of them are special, but this one is especially special because if you are on YouTube or Facebook or any of the other video streaming platforms, you can actually watch this because Aminah and I are sitting in the same room, practically in one another's laps right now. So Aminah Imani is here with us today in I Know I'm Crazy Land. And fun fact, Aminah is one of the first people that I called and I was like, I want to start a podcast.
Oh yeah, you did.
You were literally, yes, one of the first people I called. She let me borrow her equipment.
I did.
She put me in touch with people that already had like a successful podcast. She invited me to be a guest on hers, and yeah, so she was like one of the first people.
Yeah, that was
also, Aminah is one of the subjects of my ongoing. It's been about 5 years now. My blended family documentary. It's gonna come out one day. Still not done yet, but she was one of the first subjects, and she and I actually met because I was looking for women that were biological mothers in kind of high conflict, unresolved situations, and she was a perfect person.
Girl.
We sat together, just me interviewing her for about 5-6 hours, and we talked forever after that, and then that's the rest is history. We've been friends ever since. Like,
yeah,
we literally had
cool. She alright.
Aminah is talented. She's funny. She's an amazing mother. Very funny comedian. She recently performed at the Apollo. What's all the things that you've done? Because I feel like I don't have a bio on you, but can you just brag real quick?
No, I don't like bragging.
Okay, well, can you just tell
I don't
them?
like bragging, but I've been performing comedy for quite some time, and as of lately, I made my TV premiere on Hulu up late early tonight.
Check that out.
A television show for moms, made by moms, so that was cool.
Yes. Okay, so we're gonna get into it. Initially, when I met you all those years ago, you were in the situation was problematic. Between you. Is that saying it lightly?
I mean, yeah, I think so. Lightly, yeah. Problematic sounds very gentle, but I'll take it.
So the situation with her child's father was problematic. Had you guys been broken up for long after that? Was it like a fresh thing?
Well, we were broken up when I found out I was pregnant. So it had been dysfunctional for quite some time, and it just hadn't been cohesive. So we was definitely not on the same page, and high conflict, I think, would be appropriate.
So the terms on the internet, high conflict, which HC, all these abbreviations that we use. So who was the more HC, the high conflict person? Was it you or was it him?
I think we both were. I wouldn't even give it one more than the other, especially now, looking back at the situation and also growing. We're both the same zodiac sign.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, very, very bullheaded. But also, like, it was never a safe space to agree to disagree. It's like once we disagree, it was war.
So war meaning cursing, fighting, hanging up, or war meaning just completely detaching and ignoring one another for weeks?
A bit of both.
Who was the aggressor?
What do you mean? What's the definition of aggressor?
So it was you.
You like, what's that?
So how do you define aggressor?
Well, no. So the thing is, I would say that, as a parent, and I've had to come to terms and learn this as well, that my idea of parenting is strictly subjective. It's only my idea of parenting.
Okay.
And so even though, you have laws and restrictions about what parents should and shouldn't do with their kids,
right.
then you also have these subjective standards of what you should do with your child specifically because you birthed them. And so I would say that the standards that I set were pretty high, but also based on my personal values, and so sometimes that doesn't make it fair for someone else to meet those standards because those are just, again, what I said, my subjective standards.
And I'll say this about her method of parenting, and I've had a chance to watch a lot of my friends, parent, and her child is exceptional. And so you can tell she's one of these parents that pours a lot of herself and her time into her child because it reflects in how he is academically, super polite, just can hold very articulate conversations at such a young age.
Right.
And so I know that your standards are higher.
Right. And also, like, I'm just genuinely like a mama bear. That's what I call myself. So I'm overprotective. But I'm also like, but no one knows exactly what they're doing. But in my mind, especially during that time, you couldn't tell me that the things that I had in place for my son weren't what was necessary and should be necessary for any and everybody's children. I
like how you said that. You said in my mind at that time. So that means you kind of acknowledge that your mind has shifted.
Right.
Times have changed and you have a different perspective.
Yeah, well, since then I'm in therapy. I've been doing a lot of self-work, and I think that's important. And also I understand that the mother that I'm able to be, the parent that I'm able to be, is strictly based off of the parents that I had in my life. And not everybody had those parents. So whether they can connect with that idea of being that type of parent might not really attach to itself because they didn't have those type of parents, right?
So,
or that's not exactly what they would prefer to be as a parent,
And when did you find your identity as a parent? Because like you said, there's no rule book to parenting your particular child. And so just in the beginning, do you feel like, all right, I'm mama bear, mama knows best, and everybody needs to adhere?
Well, yeah, in the beginning, I was intense. It was like, you first...
Intensity. I like how she put that instead of high conflict. I like how she said I was intense.
Well, intense to the point where it's like you had to change your clothes when you came to my house to hold my son. You know what I mean? I had rules around the house listed on feeding, on how to entertain him, on like do not have his face next to the TV, on like this is your daily schedule if you're with him. This is what you can and you cannot do.
Now that was for the babysitter?
This was for anybody and everybody who was around my son.
Including his father.
Including his dad, like this was just the rules that I set forth because I felt like this was the only way that my son could
Where did you get that from?
Treated from.
Where did you get that shit? Where did you get that from?
Where did I get it from?
Yeah, like who something influenced that. Or someone.
Well, I don't know. For me, like when I first found out I was pregnant, I went into like this mode of like this idea of perfection. Like I'm gonna do everything right. So it was like breastfeeding versus formula, or it was like sleep training versus non-sleep training. It was, so for me it was just like whatever method I saw or learned or read that was suitable, this is what I was going to apply in our life. So whether it came to our schedule, and then also like when you communicate with people, for me that's just how direct I am. So my mom didn't put signs up, if that's what you asking. Like, my mom didn't put signs up, but for me...
I just want to know, who told you to put up a damn sign?
It came to me, like, that was just my instinct. Like, I knew that some people might not know exactly how to care for a child, even though... Because you'll be surprised. Like, some people are like, I didn't know he can't drink juice. Oh, I didn't know he can't have sugar snacks. And I didn't know, And so, for me, it was like, I'm going to clear up all of this I don't know. And I'm gonna make sure you know, and that's how the sign says stop. You gotta stop. Red light, green light. So that was my only logic. My thing was like 2 and 2. Let's go.
Okay.
Yeah,
so that is intense.
It is. It very much so.
But like, I guess if you're a first time mom,
that's how it goes.
If you're a first time mom and you're just like, oh my God, I'm responsible, and you and he were not together when you had the baby. So you're probably like, I'm doing this all by myself. Right. I'm responsible for keeping this little human alive.
Right.
I know you were afraid.
Yeah, very, very scared. I was scared of a lot of things. And so I think that also kind of,
translated
into every action that I made. I was trying to prevent something from happening.
Okay.
That's
so
how
a lot of that is fear. So then how much of that was, I am mad at my son's father for disappointing me, for dismantling the family that we could have had? How much was that was like visceral toward him?
Well, I mean, I'm looking back at it, and sometimes I still get a flashback of it, and I'm like, oh wow, okay, yeah, so you took it too far. So I'm still trying to see what actions were and were not aligned with that. But for majority of the time, since time has passed, I know for a fact that I was like angry, It was like Maleficent when they snatched her wings, like sis just went off. She like, if I'm gonna be unhappy, everybody's gonna be unhappy. And so I feel like I was able to kind of like separate where the rage went, but then certain triggers it was just like explosive, you know?
Do you have any examples of these rage-filled moments, or when like things that triggers you and you're like, damn, I snapped, I exploded?
Well, I mean,
Specific examples.
I can just say in summation,
All of them?
my words. Like I look back and I remember one text, I'll be like, it'll be another 6 years before you step into, like, it's like just evil and just angry. And it's like, it didn't even have to be all that. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, we're all human. We make mistakes.
Yeah.
Whether some mistakes are more intentional than not, at the end of the day, no one is really out here. Well, I feel like I could say in my situation, no one is really out here with the intent to be like, you know,
I'm gonna hurt my child and my child's mother.
Yeah. But for me, it was just like, well, that's how it was in our situation, and so I can't see otherwise.
Yeah.
And so it was.
So it was like the words for you.
Oh, I mean, I said some pretty bad things. Some really pretty bad things. So I'm still working on forgiving myself. What's this episode about?
No.
I ain't coming for this. No.
We're not okay. Whoop.
No, I'm just saying, no, we can talk, but like, yeah, these fools get hot in here. I feel like I'm in a hot seat.
Now you are in the hot seat. You know, everybody and I know I'm crazy. For 5 minutes, that ass is gonna boil.
Yes.
Does your partner share kids with a loony? Are your stepkids driving you up a wall? Is your partner failing miserably at setting boundaries? Well, VIP Stepmom is where you need to be. We're an exclusive private community just for stepmoms, and we'd love for you to join our tribe. Each month, our members enjoy private conversations, podcasts, expert workshops, a subscription to Stepmom magazine, and monthly live Zoom meetings. If you're ready to join a diverse community that is committed to making sure you live your best life, visit VIP Stepmom today. We'll save a seat for you.
VIP Stepmoms, that's you and me.
So yeah, my words for sure. My words and how I responded to, because you know, it's like going on through life and you're walking and somebody push you, you can get up and just keep walking.
Yes.
Or you can try to pull a gun out and shoot them because you still mad from stuff that happened years ago.
Right.
And so that's pretty much where my actions
So you're
and words came
saying
from.
your words, harsh thoughts, everything that you threw. It sounds like it was kind of substantiated though. Like if a person spends years doing things to you.
In a sense, right?
Like do you feel like any of it was validated or you just warranted, or were you just...
Well, yeah, no, and that's where I did find the forgiveness for me, because my thing is, like I said, I'm a mama bear. And so for me, I'm protecting my son from any and all ill behavior that's going to be inflicted on him. And so, you know, those were my ultimate intentions. Like, even though at times I would be upset and it seems like, oh, she's trying to seek revenge and pay me back. Right. Ultimately, it's just like, no, I just don't want my son to deal with things that I don't feel like he has to deal with or he shouldn't deal with.
So in essence, you felt like you had to protect your baby from his own father.
Exactly.
And did you ever express that to him? Like, hey, I feel like I have to protect our son from you.
I've said those things. Like, how does
he respond though?
I love my son. That's what it's mostly. I love my son. I love my son. I love my son.
Did you ever question the love that he had for his son?
Absolutely. Because I feel like every emotion comes with actions.
Okay.
And so it was hard for me.
You.
Yeah, for me. Right.
And that's a tough thing for me. It's so hard to separate that.
Yeah, it is.
Especially when it comes to your baby.
Right. It's like, if I care for you as a friend and you told me to be here at a certain time and I'm not here at a certain time, do I really care for you? That's how my mind works.
Okay.
That's how my mind works. When you might have had all intentions to be there for your friend and get there,
and something happened.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. But it seems like something always happens, and so therefore I'm stuck. Right. I'm stuck because now I'm like, okay, the first time maybe, second time maybe, but now I don't believe anything you say. You're not to be trusted.
So now it's like, you're a complete liar, and I need to protect our child from being hurt by you.
Exactly.
And that means severing contact.
And that's what I would do. I would just be like, I'm not doing, because for me, already being a mom and being a single mom is really tough and difficult. And so in my idea was just like, if you're not adding to assisting and aiding and supporting, then I don't have anything to talk to you about.
Okay.
And that just was the philosophy.
Hypothetically speaking, if the shoe was on the other foot and he was a custodial parent, and said, you know what, I don't like the way you're being right now, I'm going to put you on kid punishment.
Right.
You can't talk to him for 6 weeks.
I try to think about that. It's so difficult.
What would that have been like for you to have, because you've probably not been away from him for an extended amount of time.
I think for the most, probably like maybe 4 or 6 weeks, but I've still had some type of contact with him. Right.
And then it wasn't forced. You could just be like, hey, I gotta go do this film or this, and can you keep him?
Right.
Have you ever tried to channel that and say, okay, wow, if I was in a situation where I could not talk to my child, they're almost being held hostage, what would that have been like for you? And I know you said it's hard.
It's really hard because I'm with my kid all the time, and sometimes I even daydream about life, like, what if, right? Like, how would that even? But I mean, ultimately, like, he's my responsibility, so I can't even take it that far as to think that, oh, okay, my kid wouldn't be in my life. So, but I know that my method to what I felt was right during those times wasn't in a sense of like, I'm punishing you. It was more so I'm protecting my son.
There was no sense of I'm angry with you and I am going to be...
Well, in my mind and how I was raised, right, in order for you to reap rewards and benefits, you had to behave a certain way.
Okay.
That was just how it was in my household.
If you want something, you have to
and if you
do something.
You get straight A's, okay, now you get money. Now you get rewarded for that type of behavior. So for me, those actions that I saw on a consistent basis did not reap any type of rewards.
I mean, that makes sense though, because if you're an adult and you don't go to work every day, you don't get a paycheck. So
that's the thing. My logic versus just the idea of now my son is older, and so he talks about what he wants. So now it's a whole different ball game because he don't care about none of that. He don't care about none of that.
He does not care if daddy is not on time. He doesn't care if he's not paying his child support. He doesn't care if he has other kids. He doesn't care if he doesn't call for weeks at a time. He's like, you know, kids have this soul connection.
Right, and so it makes you sit back and think about all the things that you taught and you were learned, and that's like, okay, well, maybe I need to unlearn or reconsider some things in order for us all to find a peace amongst each other. And at one point, like, for me, it's just been very scary because, like, I'll have conversations, especially with God, who I believe in, my higher being, and I'll literally just express my fears and worries because I'm still dealing with my childhood, right? And I'm like, I don't want my son to have to deal with a childhood that he has to deal with when he's over 30. Right. But at the end of the day, I feel like what has come to me is just the idea of, like, you know, children, even at the age of 6, have a way of having their own intuition. And sometimes you can learn from these kids. And so my thing is, as long as my son is okay with, you know, interacting, then I may need to take the back seat and follow his lead on this situation.
So it was when you saw him, speaking of, because I'll say this, you know, I mentioned how smart her baby is, and he's an anomaly, but then I know there's kids out there that might be afraid to express to their parent, like, hey, I want to go to dad's house. I want to do this. So I think it's amazing that you at least taught your son to speak in such a way, and then he was open enough, and he's very bold. He's a Gemini, so I feel like he's like, I want to see my dad.
Well, you know what? It was based off my childhood. It was based off of the things that I weren't able. Like, a lot of things in my childhood, I was not able to choose. Okay, I did not have say. I was not able to really kind of, like, we were given a voice, like we were able to speak our minds, but not about everything, right? Okay. And so I leave room for my son to really express himself. If he doesn't want to do anything or certain things, not saying like, oh, he could just do whatever, right. But I'm just saying with specific things as far as how I feel connects with him and how he expresses himself, I want to leave room for him to choose his identity and not have it chosen for him. So when he get older, he know who he is and I have to search for who he is.
It's not.
And that's just the real reality. I mean, we laugh and joke about it, but I feel like the more and more you realize the things that you didn't have, that's all what you want to give.
Because let me tell you something, when your parents don't allow you to have a voice, you have this you develop this innate belief that what I say, what I feel doesn't really matter.
And it's
and so when you grow up, you don't really have an identity. You don't fit in any place, so you're trying to fit in everywhere. And you're always looking for like this leading figure to tell you what to do because you just can't think for yourself. And I know a lot of adults like that. A lot of grown. I'm sure we both know.
So I think about those ramifications. Like now, I feel like I'm in a healthy space to really look and evaluate my actions for the long run and not just short term and temporary of emotions of how I feel.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm really trying to lead with.
So then what was there like a turning point? Was there a fork in the road? Was there something that happened that make you be like, that smacked you into reality and be like, oh wow,
Yeah, so I had a breakdown after the pandemic hit. I had
pandemic
and I saw myself. I saw myself. I feel like because life was busy.
Yeah.
You working. I was going from shows to shows. You don't have that time to really sit and evaluate. That quiet time. And that quiet time gets loud. That quiet time gets
silence is deafening.
And it was agonizing. I'm not gonna lie. Like for a while, I was just stuck and I couldn't move and I was sad for a long time.
Yeah.
But then I just started doing things that I felt could assist in me actually getting through instead of just going through.
Yeah.
And so, now I'm eating healthy. I'm working out. I got my therapist.
She ran 10 miles yesterday.
I did.
She's intermittent fasting.
I did. And
she's lost like what, 20, 30 pounds?
I'm
I don't
very
know how much.
skinny. Yes.
She got snatched.
God is good. But it just goes to show you that, when you don't pay attention to you and you keep paying attention to everybody else, then there's this ongoing pattern of problems that only persist. And so for me, I was like, I think I might be assisting in the persistence.
You're like, how much responsibility do I have in the like how things are going with me?
I found that. And so it's difficult. I'm not, and I give this advice, not as a requirement. I give it just from experience and knowing that it's very tough to do. But sometimes you really do have to just look within and see what are the things that you can control and the things that you can do to assist. And that's the thing, you really got to be solution oriented too, because like for me, I really did want to find a piece especially for my son.
Yes.
Especially because it got to the point where it was about to now he's young, he can't see it, so I could pretend, hang up the phone, move on.
Yeah.
But now it's loud as day. He listening like, what was that?
He can see and hear and internalize things.
Yes.
And you like, okay, as
pays
parents,
attention to details,
he's dropping these gems in his mind and they're going to stay with him.
Exactly. And ultimately as a parent, you really do have to be a person that, you gotta answer to. Not saying like you answering to your kids, but because
one day you will.
Right, but also if you want them to present themselves in the best way possible, then you have to do that really first.
Yes.
It can't be something that you just tell them to do and then they just do it automatically. There has to be some type of example.
So how do you let go of the expectation?
Girl,
because the expectations of, okay, it's cool. You accepted the fact that your co-parent is not going to be the type of parent you are.
Well, ultimately, life started putting me in positions of situations where I really consider like a mirror. So instead of me being in this position, I now was in the flip side of it. Yeah. And it kind of hit me like, oh.
So a switch in perspective, that's always good. When you get slapped up with your own stuff, that's really good.
No, seriously, life literally was just keep like sisters and my parents and my cousins, and it was literally just even relationships, just putting me in situations of, oh, okay, so this is something that you are capable of doing as well. And so the same grace that you're now going to give yourself because it's you is the same grace that maybe possibly you should give to others that are in the opposite situation as well. And I'm not saying let people walk over you, but it's just a certain understanding that gives you compassion to be like, okay, I don't have to respond this way.
Right.
Because now I see how this could happen and it not be that specific intent that you would just
And you're like,
automatically
wow, the
assume.
grace that I would need, maybe I do have to start to bestow that to other people. Because one thing about grace is we're all going to need it at some point during the day. Not in your life, during your day, you're going to need it.
Everybody. And also I had to realize that the trauma that I was holding, I was placing in every situation of conflict. So whether or not that conflict was a separate situation that had nothing to do with my trauma, because I was still hurt from my trauma, I would place it on that situation and call it that regardless of what it was or not.
So situations, people, relationships wouldn't even get a fair shake.
Wouldn't even get a fair shake.
You're like, oh, you look familiar. You know what? Trauma, conflict.
Yeah. And it's like, well,
Yeah.
I just like, bro, I just got an issue. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I just want to talk about right.
Exactly, but I'm like, I wouldn't even give it a chance because of what I've been through. So I had to realize that as well. So it's been a process and a journey.
How does the process look when you're trying to show some of the people in your life that you may have disrespected, cut off, impeded? How does it go when you're trying to make these people open back
communication and an apology tour for sure.
You did an apology tour?
Girl, I mean,
you did?
It's like, I still feel like I'm on an apology tour. I'm sorry.
That's good though.
For the people out
That's
there,
like amazing.
I'm sorry.
She's sorry. She is.
No,
so
I know I
sorry.
got a big smile on my face, but wholeheartedly.
She's sorry if she offended you. Don't you hate when people apologize like that? I'm so sorry if I offended you.
Sometimes you know not what you do. And like for real, you do know. But then also sometimes I'm sitting back and looking at situations from years ago and I'm like, I had no idea. I had no idea that that's what I was doing. And I wholeheartly am sorry.
Okay. And so you went on your apology tour.
Yeah, I went on my
you really
apology
actually
tour.
called and text people.
I called, I text people, I also sent gifts, and now moving forward, I don't react immediately. I try to sit back, think about it, reflect on it, pray on it, talk to my therapist about it, and then lead with love.
Lead with love. You all know that is like my number one, well, my number 2 motto.
Yes, you have to.
Who was the hardest person on your apology tour for you to call up and start that apology with?
The
two hardest people. And why?
Well, I will say my dad and my child's father.
Okay.
And I really don't even know if I outright really apologized to my dad. I just was more like I'm a do better, right?
Okay.
Like I don't, because the thing is, I don't know if it's something I can specifically say, hey, like I can't say that incident, like, hey, I'm sorry, but I just know for a long time, I wasn't giving a person an opportunity to be who they really wanted to be.
To you.
And so moving forward, I'm
what
like,
caused
now,
the disconnect? Was it just like, I'm mad at
because
you?
I'm upset. Yeah, I'm upset. I'm still mad from
The divorce.
Yeah, I'm still mad from years ago. So
Okay.
yeah, I'm like, you know, it's like somebody you like versus somebody you don't like. You letting them in your house, you giving them food, you
Right.
ordering them drinks, and then somebody show up to your house and you got a chain on the door like, yeah, what you need?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So there was not a chance for him to try to make it up to you.
Exactly.
Or have a new type of father-daughter relationship.
Right. But also, like, I just had to sit back and realize, like, that person is truly trying to be the best person that they can be. And
Right
if you
now,
allow them that opportunity, then things will go a lot more smoother than what it's been going because you're being over here, being stubborn. And, you know.
And we don't have our parents forever. You know? And thank goodness you got a chance to rectify.
Yeah, and I hit his
You know
dad
what?
up, and I was like, listen, you can come get your son anytime. You can come pick your son
So,
up anytime.
out of the blue.
Out of the blue, yeah.
After how long of not speaking? Like, out of the blue. Like, because if I was him, I would have been freaked out. Like, somebody that I know hates me, we've not spoken.
Well, that's not how he took it at all. He came and got his son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, so he was ready.
Yeah.
Did he just say, why? What's going on with you? Are you going to shoot me? It's a setup?
Not at all.
He was just like, okay.
It wasn't questioned.
And then, so, since you...
Literally, I feel like it was a switch for both of us, but also, like, I feel like for me specifically,
So, were
I
you
was
the
like,
hold
I'm not
up
going
there?
to be this way.
So, you're the one with the kids, so it's kind of like, you set the
Possibly,
temperature.
but also there are other situations that transpired. But also, I think I'm just praying and hoping that in this new wave of events and vibes that, things will just be different. And I'm planning to handle all things different
Okay.
and better than I did before.
And because, you know, you've been on this amazing journey of transformation, you know, kind of maybe because partly you wanted to, partly because you needed to.
Yeah.
So yeah, what do you do about the people, child's father, for example? He's not as evolved as you are. And he goes back and makes the same mistake, let's say from 2017. What is Aminah today? What does she do?
Well, like I said, like you have to be flexible and you got to be patient, especially because y'all are connected for a reason, you know. And I don't want to say you have to be, but it will just work out in your best favor too.
Yeah.
Cause like for me, I'm not sitting in this seat like, oh, I'm gonna be perfect. He gonna be perfect, and it's gonna work out. It's like, no, I'm still dealing and working on who I am.
Right.
He's still dealing and working on him. He is. And because I know where things could have gone and where they went, I no longer want that.
Yeah.
So what things can I do to ensure that it doesn't get there? What can I do to control and assist in the situation not getting back there? Because we know for a fact that wasn't conducive for anybody.
And you are committed to things not going back there.
100%. 100%.
And we all know, I mean, nobody's perfect. You know, we all need a level of resilience.
Exactly.
We're both gonna mess up. You're both gonna
absolutely.
screw up.
I'm like, and we talked about this because you told me and you've helped me and you've said this even a long time ago, but I wasn't hearing that. I was like, I don't care about none of that.
You weren't in a place to hear that.
You got me messed up. No mistakes over here. All right, if you ain't got it, go get it.
Yeah.
Call me back. And just extra stubborn. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm giving it to God.
Give it to God. Let it go. Because life is so much happier when you realize you have a source to place your burdens on.
Yes.
As opposed to carrying it on your back. Because we know so many people.
And they are heavy. They are heavy.
I know so many older women that you can tell that life has them downtrodden.
Oh
and
my
you can
God.
just see it all over their faces.
Free. Like when I think about all of the mental torments and that I even projected on myself for things that just was unnecessary, now I'm like, I cannot hold on to this weight because it's holding me down.
And girl, you look, she is skinny now, so clearly she let that mental and that physical weight go. So Aminah, if everybody wants to find you, which I know for a fact they will, you can follow her at Aminah Imani on Instagram. Visit her online at AminahImani.com.
Yes.
Is there anything else? Oh, and check her out on Hulu. What's the name of your show? My friends got shows, y'all.
It's up early tonight on Hulu. I think I have it posted on my Instagram and stuff and Twitter as well.
And we're going to post links down below as well. So make sure you follow her, share this, like it, subscribe wherever you're watching this. I am life coach, blended family expert, yo friend. Yo friend.
Yeah, my friend, because I call her almost all the time. So y'all the ones really missing out. I get all of this, alright?
I'm Naja Hall, and thank you so much for listening to and watching this episode of I Know I'm Crazy with Naja Hall. We'll see you Tuesday after next, because y'all know I ain't gonna do this every week. Every other Tuesday on your favorite streaming platforms.
I know I'm crazy.